I've got a bone to pick with the Cardinals' road uniforms. And no, I'm not talking about how they took a jersey that was modeled after 1930s, 40s, and 50s Cardinals get-ups and added a 1970s color to it and called that a road alternate. I'm talking about something far more egregious, and that is the neglect that the Navy road cap has been receiving for the last 8 years. Navy caps have long been a staple of Cardinals uniforms. Beginning in 1940, Navy caps were worn for both home and road games. This lasted until 1964, which is a span of 24 seasons, when a red cap, which originally featured a blue STL, was introduced for home games, with the Navy caps being retained for road contests. In 1965, red caps were adopted for both home and road games, and became the only cap worn by the Cardinals for the next 26 seasons. In 1971, the Cardinals became the third team in baseball to adopt uniforms that featured pullover jerseys and sans belt pants. This look would last through 1991. From 1976 through 1984, the road jerseys would switch from traditional gray to a powder blue before returning to gray in 1985. After 21 seasons of wearing the double-knit pullover look, the club returned to the button-up jerseys and belted pants as part of their centennial celebration in 1992. Also returning were the navy blue caps, which were being worn for the first time since 1964 and were used for all road games. These changes set the basic template for Cardinals uniforms over the next 21 seasons, although there were modifications along the way, such as the 2-year absence of numbers from the front of the jersey, updated print and jersey logos, the introduction of an alternate cap, and for one season, red beaks on the birds. But while the standard look of the Cardinals' road get-ups, navy cap, navy belt, red undershirt and sleeves, and red shoes, remained the same in the style guide during that time, little inconsistencies started creeping their way into the road uniform in the mid-aughts. It began in 2004, when Albert Pujols started wearing a black undershirt instead of the team-issued red undershirt. It continued in 2007, when Yadier Molina also began wearing a black undershirt. 2008 saw two noticeable changes, as Molina began wearing navy wristbands and elbow guards, and the Cardinals began using gray-bodied undershirts that featured only a thin line of red trim around the neck. Those undershirts would last through 2011. In 2010, John Jay, Yadier Molina, and a few other players began wearing navy sleeves during road contests. Now, most of these changes seemed rather inconsequential on their own, but what they served to do was to slowly erode the amount of red that was featured in the road uniforms. All of that set the stage for this day.
That's the third jersey. We'll be wearing it at home on Saturdays. Obviously, the home whites don't change much at all. And then on the road jersey, Ryan's got it on with the red hat and the red belt.
At the time these changes were announced, I was not on board with virtually any of them. I really did not like, and still don't, the Saturday cream-colored jersey, and I absolutely hated the red caps on the road. Now, I know I was not the only Cardinals fan that felt the same way about the red caps on the road, but we'll get to that in a second. In an interview with the excellent website uniwatch.com, Bill DeWitt III, the man largely responsible for all Cardinals uniform and logo changes since 1996, had this to say: "I just love the red cap on the road. We're a red team, and when we're on the road wearing blue and gray, you know." And on the last part of that statement, yeah, I completely agree. The Cardinals are a red team, and red should be featured in the road uniforms. Although I will say I am a little bit confused by Mr. DeWitt's comment, because in that same UniWatch article, he talks about how in the past he's tried to get the Cardinals to wear blue shoes on the road, and that didn't work out. And that seems like a very contradictory thing for someone who is opposed to the Cardinals wearing navy on the road to say. But the reason that you were seeing a general absence of red from the road uniforms was because your players weren't following the style guide. And I'm sorry, but this does not look as good as this. By themselves, neither the navy nor the red is equal to the sum of their parts with the road grays. The way the navy and the red work together is a wonderful color contrast, and it also serves as a delineation between home and away uniforms. Now, as I said earlier, I know I was not the only Cardinals fan that was not thrilled with the change in road caps. And how do I know this? Because there was such an outcry from Cardinals fans that the team, despite having already announced the switch, decided to not only give Cardinals fans a chance to voice their opinion, but to have the final say in the cap that would be worn with the road uniforms. And so the Red or Blue It's Up to You voting campaign was launched. I was ecstatic when this happened. I viewed this as a chance to right a wrong, as a chance for fan opinion to really be heard, and boy was I about to be disappointed. The vote was a 5-day process that featured 2 days of voting exclusively through the Cardinals website and 3 days of voting exclusively through Twitter via hashtags. And when was all of this voting supposed to take place, you might ask? Over the winter holiday, shortly after they had announced the changes? Nope. At the start of spring training? Nope. How about 5 days before the start of the regular season? Yeah, that's what they actually did. 5 days before the start of the regular season. The voting itself was a shit show. There was a ton of confusion regarding whether or not you were allowed to vote through Twitter on days 1 and 2. You weren't, but I suspect the votes were counted anyway. And no limit as to the number of votes one person could cast was put in place. And a tallying error started counting votes on Twitter for blue caps as votes for red caps. And it took them almost a month to get the entire picture sorted out. But when they finally did reveal the final voting tabulations, these were the results. Now, I'm no math genius, but 19,776 beats 19,600 in a straight democracy. And as far as I know, there was no Cardinals Road Cap Electoral College in play here. I mean, the details of the campaign pretty clearly say, help us complete the road uniforms by deciding the road cap. That doesn't say, give us your opinion and we'll take it into consideration. If it would have said that, that would have been one thing, but that's not what it says. Now, you can say what you want about it being only a 1% margin of victory for the all-Navy road caps, but when you tally up all the votes that wanted Navy caps to be used in some capacity, that's 61.6% of the vote that went for blue. And what did the Cardinals do with the results of this vote? Virtually nothing. They made no announcement regarding the vote whatsoever. There was no press release. There was no reaching out to the fans. Hell, outside of a brief blurb in the Post-Dispatch, they didn't even comment on it. And in that blurb, all they said was that the results were, quote, inconclusive. Ultimately, they unofficially adopted the practice of wearing the Navy caps versus red teams, although not until midway through the 2013 season, as they wore red caps against the then red-capped Arizona to start the 2013 season, and they did so as well against Washington during the first part of that season. So 8 years later, why am I still so upset about this? Why does this still stick in my craw? Is it because I want the Navy road caps back full time? Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I absolutely do. Is it because I feel like the rug was pulled out from underneath the Cardinals fans? Yes, that's part of it. But I think the biggest thing that bothers me is there is just no way you could possibly look at the results of this vote and think that the Cardinals wearing the Navy road caps 10 to 15 times a year, just depending on how the schedule plays out, is indicative of what the fans actually asked for. Now, I hate the red caps on the road personally, but what if, instead of the Cardinals only wearing the Navy caps versus red teams, they did the inverse, and the Cardinals would wear the red caps versus blue teams? Using the 2021 schedule as our guide here, if the Cardinals were to continue wearing the Navy caps only against red teams, all total, the Cardinals will wear the red caps on the road 69 times and the Navy road caps only 12 times. Under the system that I have proposed, where the Cardinals would wear the red caps versus blue teams on the road, you would get a breakdown that looks like this. The Cardinals would wear the red with the gray uniforms 30 times, they would wear red with the powder blue uniforms 14 times, and they would wear the Navy road caps 37 times. That means that all total, red caps would be worn for 44 road games and Navy caps would be worn for 37 road games. While that still skews slightly towards the red, it is a far more fair representation of what the fans actually asked for when they conducted that poll 8 years ago. If the Cardinals wanted to use the red caps on the road because that's what Bill DeWitt III prefers, which he has been very vocal about, okay, you own the team, that's your prerogative. But don't tell fans that you're going to give them the final say and then not do it. Don't tell the fans that you get to tell us what you want and then give them only a very small sliver of what they actually asked for. That is the kind of bullshit that pushes fans away. When I think about the Cardinals wearing a gray uniform with a red cap, I think about Sansa pants and pullover jerseys. And quite frankly, I don't think that was really the greatest look in Cardinals history. I mean, there's a reason nobody wears Sansa pants today. Since these uniform changes took place, there is one moment that stands out of my mind as a reminder of exactly how much better I really think the Navy road caps are, and that took place in August of 2015. The Cardinals went to Arizona for a 4-game series against the then red-capped Diamondbacks, and they swept that series.
A 4-game sweep of the Arizona Diamondbacks, win number 82.
The next night, they moved on to San Francisco, and wanting to keep the mojo going, they continued to wear the Navy road caps, even though the Giants are not a red team. And for that one night, I got a chance to see the Cardinals in a ballpark that wasn't Great American, or Citizens Bank, or Chase Field, or Nationals Park, or Angel Stadium, wear the Navy road caps. And it was a reminder to me of not just how much better the Navy road caps look when they're playing a team that also wears a red cap, but just how much better it looks, period. The optimist in me is hopeful that at some point in the not-too-distant future, the Cardinals will rectify the discrepancy and the imbalance between the amount of times the red caps are worn on the road and the Navy road caps being worn on the road. The realist in me, however, thinks there's probably about as much chance of the Cardinals actually doing that as there is of the Cardinals actually going out and improving the ball club this winter. Now, I would love it if the fans got another vote, and this time the Cardinals actually implemented what it is that we asked for. But I don't think that's going to happen either. So, considering the fact that there's very little that I actually can do other than put together this ridiculous first world problem presentation, I just want to say, if nothing else, there is absolutely no reason that the Cardinals should be wearing those powder blue things on Saturday road games more than they're wearing the Navy road caps. And there you have it, 8 years of pent-up frustration coming off my chest, and that is all I have to say on this, and I hope that everybody has a happy and wonderful holiday season, and I will leave you now giving Bill DeWitt III the final say.
The grass isn't always greener, I guess.